Welcome to Sentence Diagramming, Chapter 3, which is Prepositional Phrases. Up until now, we have looked at individual words that are modifying that main idea line. And now we're going to look at phrases. But when we diagram, we always start in the same place. We start with the main idea line, and then we are looking for the subject and the verb. So, taking a look at our sentence, the clever Odysseus from Ithaca in Greece planned carefully with his son. What is the subject of that sentence? Person, place, thing, or idea that the sentence is about. Yep, that's Odysseus. What is it that Odysseus is doing? Did you find an action? Yeah, he planned. So, our main idea line is going to be that same thing that we saw in chapter 1, which is going to be subject, Odysseus, and verb, planned. And then we put a line separating our subject side, which is over here, from our verb side, which is over here. Sometimes you'll see this side also called a predicate. And a predicate is the verb plus any words required to finish the verb. We'll talk about that a little bit more in chapter 6. So, since we have our main subject and verb put in place, we now have to start placing all of these individual words. So, what is the modifying? Well, it's the Odysseus, not a random guy named Odysseus. We're talking about the one and only, the famous one, the. So, clever. What is clever modifying? Well, clearly we are describing Odysseus. He is clever. Well, that sounds pretty normal. We've done this in chapter 2 quite often. So now from. Is he a from Odysseus? No. And from planned? No, it's not a from planned. So from doesn't seem to be modifying anything directly, which is your first hint that, dude, something else is going on here. If you look, from is a relationship word. Now, the question is this relationship word connected to a noun? And you're looking for a noun that is following it rather quickly. Well, where's Odysseus from? He's from Ithaca. These are two words that are working together. We have the preposition, which is going to be your relationship word. We then have the object of the preposition, which tells you what from is trying to relate to. Now the question is, from Ithaca, since it is working together as a prepositional phrase, what is from Ithaca describing? Does it answer one of the adjective questions? Which one, what kind, how many, whose? Okay, well, whose Odysseus is it? Well, it's the Odysseus from Ithaca. So that means prepositional phrases are always put onto an angle bracket. So I'm first going to put my angle bracket in. What goes on the diagonal here is going to be the relationship word, and that is from. What goes on the straight is going to be the noun, the object, and that is Ithaca. If I used any words to describe Ithaca, like for example, in the sample in your book, you have from beautiful Ithaca. Well, if it's describing Ithaca, it would hang under Ithaca. So let's take a look. What is our next word? Our next word is in. Oh, ding, ding, ding. Once again, we have a relationship word. Is that relationship word connected to a noun that follows it? Yeah, Greece. Now, the question is, what does in Greece describe? You might at first say, well, Odysseus is in Greece. But we're not talking about Odysseus being in Greece. What are we really talking about being in Greece? Think about it. Ithaca. Ithaca is in Greece. And that brings us to something kind of interesting that prepositional phrases can do. This right here is a noun. It's an object of the preposition, but it's a noun. And that means you can have things describing it. If I had from beautiful Ithaca, I would put beautiful here, but I don't. What I have describing Ithaca is another prepositional phrase. So I have this first angle bracket, and underneath I am actually going to put another angle bracket. In Greece is describing Ithaca. Again, what goes on the angle? The relationship word. That's going to be in. Ithaca is inside. What is it inside? That's where my noun goes on the flat. It's in Greece. Okay, planned is already on my diagram, so I don't have to worry about that. Carefully. What is carefully describing? Well, it's describing how he planned. So we did that in chapter 2, no problem. Now, with. What is with describing? Oh, ding ding, we have another relationship word. This time, if you notice, it's a little tiny bit different because here is my preposition, with, but here is my object of the preposition. My noun that it connects to is son, and in between we have this word. This word, his, is actually describing the sun. So, because this is a prepositional phrase, I know I need to put an angle bracket. So my question is, what is with his son describing? Is it describing he's carefully? Is he carefully with his son? No. Is it describing planning? He planned with his son. Ah, ding, ding, ding. Yes. With his son is describing how he is planning. And how is one of your adverb questions because that prepositional phrase is describing the verb, which makes it an adverb. That means, again, it's a prepositional phrase. I automatically put in my angle bracket. What goes on the angle is going to be the relationship, in that case, with. What goes on the flat is always going to be the object, the noun that ends the preposition. What is the noun that ends the preposition with his son? Well, that's going to be son. So what in the world do I do with his? Well, I've talked about this. Son is a noun, and that means it can have words describing it. So it has a word describing it. All descriptor words, all danglies, go on those angled lines, and so now we have his. The clever Odysseus from Ithaca in Greece planned carefully with his son. So this is our diagram. Now, interesting thing about prepositional phrases. Prepositional phrases always tell you the relationship between words. So let's take a look at this. The word from, right here, is connecting Odysseus and Ithaca. What is the relationship between Odysseus and Ithaca? Well, the relationship is one came from the other. And so the relationship that connects those nouns goes between those two nouns. What is the relationship between Ithaca and Greece? Well, the relationship is one of these is inside the other. What does this relationship tell us? Inside. What is the relationship between planning and son? One of those actions was taken with the other. So, prepositional phrases always tell you what is the relationship between the word that is on the line above. See, Odysseus is on the line above, and the word that is on the line below. So we now know these two words, Odysseus and Ithaca, are related with this relationship, from. So a prepositional phrase is always going to stay together on that angle bracket because we're not talking about Ithaca. We're not talking about Greece. We're talking about how Ithaca and Greece have a relationship with something else in the sentence. So that is your down and dirty with prepositional phrases. Make sure the noun always goes on that flat line and go give this chapter a try. See how you do.